The following program is presented by the HTM Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Talk in partnership with thechairshot.com, presented by the Hitting the Marks Podcast Network and in association with NJPW.com. Turnbuckle Talk is sponsored by collarandelbowbrand.com, where you get 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast. Turnbuckle Talk is also partnered with Phoenix at FNXFit.com, where you get 15% off all your health supplements simply by using promo code TBTalkPod. Follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TBTalkPod. Listen on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere you catch your favorite programs. And now, pro wrestling fanatics, are you ready? Here are your hosts, Big Joe and Karufel.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here, episode 184 of Turnbuckle Talk. I have a little bit of a different camera view going on here for you. I decided to try something a little bit different, but my God, this episode that we have this week, Joe, stacked full of stuff.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit, and for those watching, definitely your background is a lot more scenic than it has been before.
It definitely is. I decided that we're going to move our studio to another room inside the house. For those of you that don't know, my spouse, she does a show called The Andy Martin Show every morning. So it was easier that way. From when I'm working nights, I get home, I go to bed, and she's having to do a show. Just didn't work out. So we've moved. We've got it set up so that she can have a camera set up. And it just shows the plain background for her right now. These here, my banners. My girls there, Madison Rain and Velvet Sky, those are just up with a couple of thumbtacks, so they're easily taken down.
Nice.
And I figured, why not show off a little bit of my autographs here from Nikita Koloff. We're looking Psychosis, Jake the Snake Roberts, and that one that's kind of a little in the light there, Rob Van Dam, Taz, Sabu, and Bill Alfonso. And that's only a little bit of the collection of autographs that I've got, which is really cool.
Yeah, for sure, man. And of course, you can see I have lots in my background too. I even have a fancy on-air sign, grill position, Turnbuckle Talk, Hitting the Marks. I have some autographs of my own. You can see Flash Funk, Cole Cabana, Angelita Love. I got Jake kind of in front of me here, and some of those that you can't see. And but yeah, that's our studio setup is getting pretty fancy.
They are. I mean, at some point, I do wish that I could have just a room that is my studio. I can set it up how I want. But until that time, this is what we get, people.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, let's kick off with some topics here. And I guess the most notable one for this past week, arguably, we're talking some AEW. And we had a rather significant debut on AEW Dynamite in the form of, wait for Karl to bring the graphic up here, formerly from the WWE, we have Miro, the best man.
Yes, we do. We have the best man, Miro. This graphic is courtesy of All Elite Wrestling. This is the official graphic that they put out for the best man, Miro, and his coming to All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, well, what's your first of all, just like the segment itself, I thought was a little odd the way that they kind of set up, where they kind of faked you out with the few other ones. Brian Pillman Jr. even showed up, and then finally formerly Rusev, now Miro, showing up. I thought that the segment was a little wonky, but yeah, what's your thoughts on another WWE guy coming over to AEW?
We're gonna get to a little bit of that later on in the show, but
Yeah,
I loved this. I really did. I loved seeing Miro come in, and the whole way that everything was done. I thought it was perfectly fine. I loved the little fake outs that happened. I loved, having a couple of different people come out and kind of going, no, like you're no, you're not. Thanks, though. I loved it. I thought that it was fantastic. It's something that we haven't seen in a while. It's something a little bit different, and I was perfectly fine with it.
The issue that I have was a little bit when he got on the microphone. So obviously, there's been some changes. It's close enough to his release from the other company that he's had to make some changes. The name, the hairstyle, because there's likely still some Rusev merch in the go with WWE. So he's had to make some changes to make sure that we're not using the same likeness, right? So that's enough to avoid any issues. I do have a bit of an issue with the segment. I'm not just hating for the sake of hating here.
Okay.
The mentioning the brass ring and Vince. You didn't have to say the name, but obviously we know if you're somebody who's a regular fan, you know who he's making reference to.
Yep.
I think they're doing this just a little too much. We're poking and prodding, specifically Mr. Vince and Kenny McMahon. I think AEW, it's giving this perception of we're the outcasts from WWE. That's the impression that I'm kind of getting from where I'm sitting right now.
And that's not something that has come across with everybody, but it is come across with a lot of people. It definitely has. For myself, I'm seeing this as AEW is allowing these stars to come in to the company and pretty much air out any grievance that they might have. So, sure. I mean, without going through and getting into any type of legalities, they're just taking this little opportunity to be able to express themselves and then move on from there. So I think that that's all that's really going to be happening, is that we're going to see this one little segment about the glass ceiling and breaking through and that brass ring and all of this. I think that that's going to be the only talk that we hear about it. It's just a one-time, hey, get out there, spew your crap, do what you got to do, whatever, and then leave it at that. And I think that that's what we're going to see.
If you're Vincent Kennedy McMahon, what are you thinking right now with all of this happening? Just briefly, like on the overarching topic, I know we'll get into it more later on in the episode here, but just to make a bit of a reference to it, what are you thinking if you're Vince at this moment? What do you think that is going through his head right now?
I got free advertising.
Think so?
I'm inside these guys' head.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's thinking. They have all taken up shop, rent-free. Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
That's what's happened.
Interesting.
So, I mean, yeah, like totally. Vince McMahon is inside their heads, rent-free. And because people get the little nuances that are put out there, people are going, well, if they're maybe I need to go and look at these guys. If they're just bashing them, or as bashing them as, people say and claim that that's happening. Yeah. Well, maybe I want to go and take a look and see what's so bad with this product. It's all free stuff for Vince.
True. I personally think that, I just use the word personal, I think that he's taking each one of these little jabs. I think they're cutting deep for him, and I think that they could be. And Karl, I'm getting visions of WCW again. It feels like this company that they're falling into some of the same traps. And I hope that I'm wrong, but history seems to be repeating itself a little bit here, and I worry a little bit.
Well, I mean, that worry is going to come anywhere, anytime, any place, any company. It really is. I mean, it could be any company that's done this. It could have been Impact that did this. and we'd be having the exact same discussion, only instead of it being AEW, it would be Impact.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, in this world of professional wrestling, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be there, and these subtle little things are gonna be there and show signs of past times. It's inevitable.
For sure. And just briefly again on Vince, I don't know if you saw kind of in your weekly rummagings like I do on social media when it comes to wrestling. If you've noticed that, I believe it's in the United States where they have their list of current billionaires. And if you do a little investigating, you'll find out Vince did not make the list this year, but Mr. Shad Khan did. So that's another thing that Vince is probably like, eee. That's probably another jab at the heart of Mr. Vincent Kenny McMahon. Because you know that's going to bug him.
Yeah, definitely it's got to bug him. But, I mean, you got to remember all the other things and projects that the Khan family has.
Yep.
Right? Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
Granted, yes, that they haven't really been able to play very much. Right? They haven't been able to get out there and do any practices or anything like that. Football's just starting back up. But... I mean, yeah, like he's got these other things.
For sure.
And I mean, if Vince is really just trying to become billionaire again in that billionaire tier, just the WWE product isn't going to do it. He's got to have something else. And he tried with the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say, because I said it was going to work, it did not work again for Vince, which sucks because I absolutely love that there's a different style of football out there. Yeah, it's going to take a lot more than just the WWE.
Oh, for sure. And briefly on that, I mean, even with, I think with your team, St. Louis, it seemed to be like a lot of people were latching onto that team. And, yeah, just it was a result of just bad timing too, right? So, it was just the way it kind of happened, and it just came out about at the wrong time again.
St. Louis?
Yeah, isn't that the one XFL team that everybody was really rooting for?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking NFL for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, St. Louis. Yeah, the Battlehawks. Caca.
Right? I was like,
yeah.
Are we talking about the same thing here? All right.
Right. I was thinking here for a second, like, wait, no, my NFL team. I don't go for St. Louis. I go for the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens. But I'm like, what's going on here?
Having said all that, Karl, now, for myself, granted, that, it's not all negative when it comes to AEW here. This past week on AEW Dynamite, they hit a bit of a milestone here, Karl, and you got to think that they're pretty happy about this. We are at 1 million viewers on AEW Dynamite. They are able to crack 7 digits.
1 million. Now, this isn't new. They have done over 1 million before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been quite a while. From what I understand, it's been like March or April since the last time that they've hit 1 million.
Yeah.
But they've done it.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Again, they have done it.
That may have been earlier at some point, maybe just like in one demographic, but I believe that this is like an overall number. I think maybe that's the key difference here. But regardless, I mean, 1 million viewers on a television show during this time period. Yeah, I think that's something significant. And yeah, you can make the argument that some of the personnel that they brought over has generated some interest. Possibly that's the reason why. Or people are, like myself, so jaded on the WWE product that they landed here.
That could very well be as well.
Yeah.
I think honestly it has a lot to do with MJF.
It could be.
MJF right now is one of the hottest heels that are out there in the world of professional wrestling right now. And it seems like anytime that MJF gets onto that screen, people are loving it. Loving it, Joe.
Yep.
And I'm loving it too. I really am. So, I mean, whatever it was, whatever the reason, I'm happy that they have hit over 1 million viewers once again. And I hope that it continues.
Yep.
And you know what? I want to see NXT hit over 1 million viewers. And I want that trend to continue. Because the more times that people are viewing, the more it's going to get talked about. The more it's talked about, the more viewers come, the more viewers that come, the more it's talked about. It's a circle that just keeps going and going and going. And as it climbs, it only becomes better and better and better for professional wrestling.
For sure. The competition is obviously healthy. Now, is this a number that you think that the people with the WWE are noticing, or are they still just kind of keeping them an arm's distance away, and it's like, oh no, these guys are still Bush League and we don't care?
Honestly, I think that the WWE is always watching, whether it's AEW, whether it's Impact, whether it's, Ring of Honor, whether it's New Japan, no matter what it is, no matter what company is putting out content, the WWE is always watching.
I would hope so. Unfortunately, it doesn't really seem to be kind of pushing them to innovate and kind of get out of this rut. I mean, people can pull for the WWE as much as they want, but it's very, very clear, Karl. I mean, people can deny it as much as they want. The WWE is currently in trouble. I mean, they're trying to work themselves through it, but I mean, obviously, there's an issue with viewership. It's a clear problem. People are going elsewhere to watch their professional wrestling. WWE is seemingly no longer the premier destination. I hear more and more people talking about New Japan, talking about All Elite Wrestling, talking about other promotions. Not so much their local promotions, because there's not a whole lot of that going on. But
that's true,
right? I hear more and more people talking about AEW, New Japan. Those are the two ones I hear most often now. It's not always necessarily those other three letters that I'm hearing, even just for casual fans and regular fans alike. It's a trend, and it's real.
It definitely is real. I mean, it's you're right, and I mean, it is a trend that's been going on and been happening for a while. Is there any way that we're going to be able to break that? I don't know. I think honestly, like, WWE is trying. I don't want to fault them to the point where we're going to say that they're done and that they can't compete and do anything anymore. But I mean, given what they have, they're trying, they're making attempts. So hopefully things can maybe turn around. And what's that going to take? I don't know. Is it maybe going to take a total revamp of things? Is it going to take getting rid of people and bringing new people in to be doing, writing or whatever? Right. And I think that's one of the biggest things right now is that the writing team really needs to kind of learn what's going on and what the fans are looking for. Not necessarily giving in to what the fans want, but giving them a little taste of what they're asking for. Right.
For sure.
If you start giving all the fans everything that they want, then they're just going to be bored because, oh yeah, well, I got it. And yeah, now what?
For sure.
Right.
No, I get what you're throwing out there. Just briefly, back, you had mentioned MJF and how you feel he's kind of the top heel in the company, and I would agree to that. Definitely seems to, just by attrition, it seems to have happened, but nothing against MJF, but I don't think that he should be that top heel in the company. They already have somebody there that should be that guy, Karl. And I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but I'm talking about Mr. Lance Archer with Jake at his side. Lance should be that top heel in the company, just going through and destroying everybody. They need to step it up more with him. They're not doing quite enough. That guy should be the guy that's feared by everybody in that roster.
And you know what? There's another guy in it that I'm going to throw out there that could do amazing things and be a really good heel as well. We're talking Jake Hager. They have done literally nothing with this guy.
Yeah.
The guy has all this different background from, MMA stuff, from, Greco-Roman wrestling to professional wrestling. He can talk on the microphone. He can work in that ring, and they're just kind of holding him back. He's a guy that could go out there. He's big. He's this, like, the same size as Archer, right? Yep. So why not? Why not have him go out there and do something with Archer and really build something? Even if you make Hager a face and Archer that heel, come on.
You just said it there because you read my mind, because I've always, when I think of Jake Hager, when I think when I think Mr. Jack, or honestly, the name's on the tip of my tongue, but I forget what his name was in WWE, Swagger. I think babyface. He's the guy that represents like the college wrestlers. Like he should be like one of. I think that there's just some people, Karl, that just don't quite work in that other kind of persona where they just they're trying to force things a little bit. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
But I'm more believable with him as the good guy. But I think he's still in an okay place for now, but I think eventually he's got to venture off on his own. And I think you go back if you can go back to that that good old American boy, that all American type of guy. You can even team up with JR. JR is great at putting him over in that kind of scenario. And there you go. And you have immediate credibility in that scenario as well.
Yep. That's
all right. So Lance Archer, I'm really hoping that they can do more with him and just have him out there, just be almost kind of like that Brock Lesnar-ish type of character if you can.
Exactly, and especially they brought him in and called him the Murder Hawk.
Yeah,
right, like that's a powerful.
Almost there, guys. Just a little bit more. Just go a little bit more with it, and you'll be there.
Exactly.
All right, let's flip back over to some WWE stuff here. More names look like are going to be on the chopping block here, and the first one that seemingly has been called out was Mr. Jerry Briscoe. Like I said before we came on the air here, Karl, I wasn't even aware that guy was still around, but apparently still in the payroll, and he's gone.
Well, was on the payroll.
Yep.
Is not anymore, but another old-time name released from the company. And from what we've been seeing, we have no confirmation on any of this just yet, but from what we're seeing, that September, October is going to be a very big month or couple months of releases happening within the WWE. Another name that I had seen was Sarah Stock. Mm-hmm. She's somebody that had worked independents and worked other companies before coming over to the WWE. Has been working with the WWE at the Performance Center.
Yep.
Apparently, she is gone as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see if this is going to be a talent shakeup or if this is going to be, as I alluded to earlier, if this is going to be a backstage type of shakeup that's going to happen. If it is a backstage type of shakeup, I could very well be okay with it as long as they're going to be hiring the right people to put into their place.
And that's the thing. Are they going to get rid of people and replace them, or are they just going to get rid of people? And I got to mention it again here, Karl. Of all these top-tier wrestling promotions out there, WWE is really the only one letting people go. Everybody else has managed to keep everybody else on. And this is resulting in a bad look again for the company. Forget storylines and kayfabe. I'm just talking company perception to the public. When you're dumping talent and then people are getting pissed and going elsewhere, that makes you look bad.
It does. 100% it does. And it's like you said, I mean, the WWE is the only one that's really been doing any type of releases during this entire COVID-19 that's been happening. So, how is it that the biggest conglomerate in the world of professional wrestling are not able to keep talent and people on payroll, but these smaller companies are? It's quite interesting.
It's counterintuitive because if there's, in my mind at least, it's the reverse. Like WWE is supposedly this biggest company, they make the most money, so they should be the ones that shouldn't have had to let anybody else go. The other companies that are struggling to rub two pennies together, they should have been the ones to release. But obviously, there's something more going on here, maybe that we're not fully aware of. That these smaller companies have been wiser with their money and with investments or what have you. With Ring of Honor, it's a bit of a different scenario because we have Sinclair involved there, and they're also there's a lot of money involved there that I think even a lot of people aren't really necessarily aware of there. So, it's. I'll be curious to see what the names are, and what would be particularly annoying is if these people are let go, and then if other people are brought in, like soon after or right after, because then those people have got to be thinking, well, what just happened?
Right? No, I totally get that, but you got to think somebody like Jerry Briscoe, who's been there for 35 years, right? It's time. Yeah, you've put in everything that you have got to that company. Let them retire you.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead. Take the time. go out, do whatever else you got to do for the rest of your life. Thank you for everything that you've done. But now it's time to bring in somebody who can do it for the next 35 years.
For sure.
Right? So in that case, something like that, I'm totally okay with. Because then you've got Jerry Briscoe that's now being able to go and be who he is and wants to be in a retirement type of situation, and bring in somebody else that can be that Jerry Briscoe for the next 35 years.
Yeah, because that guy's been in that position, so to speak. I don't know, people listening to audio are going to see me doing the finger quotations, but I mean, he's got to be the kind of guy there. It's like, dude, are you even serving a purpose anymore? Or are you there to just say yes, sir, to Mr. Vince McMahon?
That's right.
And I think that is the deeper root of the problem with the WWE is we have too many guys that aren't able to say to Vince, this is stupid. Let's not do this. Everybody has been with Vince for so long. They're like, no, Vince, this is good. They're just as senile and as wacky as the old man is. They've been Bucky and all these guys that have been with him for so long, and they don't have the ability to tell Vince, this is stupid. We're not going to do this. Even the minor leagues won't do something stupid like that. You know,
they're either senile or afraid, one or the other. Right.
And with the money too, and I go back to, we mentioned this on a previous episode, this is going a little bit while back now, when we went with this Thunderdome concept with all these screens, that has got to be costly. So is that why we're getting rid of talent, so we could pay for the TV screen so that the fans at home can be there? And if that's the case, wow, I mean, just... But
you wanted that, Joe.
What's that?
You wanted people there.
Yeah,
so now they gave you people there.
Well, it's not the same.
And now you're bitching and complaining because there's people there.
It's not the same.
And how much it's costing.
It's not the same. But, it's not the same because you're not getting the actual sound of the reaction. I mean, I think they're somewhat playing with piping in fake noise. And we saw that.
Yeah, they are.
The one that I always reference, and this was actually when fans were still there, I always like to reference when they turned Bayley heel and the fans started cheering, and you could audibly hear them in production muting the cheering and piping in fake boos. That is some sketchy stuff there, and I don't like that.
But that's television.
True, but that's a sign that you failed at what you were trying to do. When you haven't gotten your desired reaction from your audience, you have failed in that attempt. But that's a whole other topic in itself that we could explore one time or another.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're just shy of our halfway point here, so why don't we take a bit of a commercial break here, and let us... you
got controls there. You can choose the commercials there.
And let's do a couple. These are kind of our regulars here, so we'll kick these over here. And let's hear from our friend, Mr. Al Snow, and then we'll follow up with some stuff from OVW as well.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
The dictionary defines hero as a person who is admired or idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. Being a hero in life is far more than words printed on a page. It takes an unwavering code, a compass that points true north, always. And in times like these, it takes sacrifice. Hero shouldn't be a word defined by a dictionary. It's a word that should be defined by the best of us. Hero has a new definition.
Hi, my name's Barry Ratcliffe. You might recognize me from such films as The Longest Ride or Ted 2. Now, as a successful actor, I have 2 planes, a supermodel wife, countless exotic cars, and a ton of cash. You might think it couldn't get any better than this, but You'd be wrong. For only $4.99, you can get OVWWrestlingNetwork.com. That's OVWWrestlingNetwork.com for only $4.99. Now, will your life be as good as this? No. Will it be better? Yes, and I guarantee that. That's not valid anywhere. OVWWrestlingNetwork.com is only $4.99. Tomorrow's yesterday is today. Prices so low, they're insane. Want more bang for your buck? Well, so do I. At OVWWrestlingNetwork.com, it's only $4.99 a month. In between excitement, me too. OVWWrestlingNetwork.com is only $4.99 a month. You get that incredible value. She cost me $17 million, and I loved it. Want a real value? OVWWrestlingNetwork.com. It's only $4.99. That's a price so low. Well, it's insane.
So there we go from our friends over at Karl and Elbow and Mr. Al Snow. And, of course, our friends over at OVW. I love those guys. I love that commercial. And as I've stated, that $4.99 price point for watching OVW on the regular is absolutely fantastic. I've actually been getting into some OVW here, Karl, and it won't be the last time that you hear about them on this episode. Just to give you a little bit of hint here. All right, man. Yeah. Let's venture outside of North American wrestling and let us go over to New Japan here, Karl. This is exciting. We're talking G1, and the two blocks have been announced here, Karl. And just at a first glance, there's some cool stuff on here, and there's some names that I'm happy are going to be involved in this. So either they're going to do their part of the matches over in North America, or they've actually have been allowed to go back over to Japan, which I'm hoping is the latter. And let's go through these blocks here, Karl, because these are pretty damn cool, just right off the hop.
Let's first
just
kind of let people know who. So we're looking at like who we looking at here? Jeff Cobb.
Jay White.
Okay. Jay White.
Zack Sabre.
Zack Sabre Jr.
Juice Robinson.
Will Ospreay. And I think that's it. Just the four, or Juice
and Kenta.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're looking seven people that are going to be going back over to hopefully back over to New Japan.
Yep.
So I mean, maybe this is a sign of good things. Maybe this is a sign of great things to come when it comes to this COVID-19 that we're dealing with. Maybe we're seeing some signs of hope coming from New Japan Pro Wrestling when it comes to having North American stars over there for these matches.
For sure. Just briefly, before we start breaking the blocks down a little bit here, Karl, just a shout out to our friend Ellie in the chat. Always good to see her in our comments during our episodes here. Go.
Definitely is. Ellie has been a fan of us since our inception, since we were back doing internet radio.
Yeah, man.
Ellie's been a great staple for us, and we love Ellie. She is fantastic.
For sure. All right, let's go through these blocks here, Karl. Let's start off with the A block, and this one is absolutely stacked here, Karl. This is a scary block. I have a feeling, I'll just right off the top, I think the winner's coming out of this A block. Let's go through the names here. We've got Kota Ibushi, Jeff Cobb, Kazuchika Okada, Ishii, Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, Jay White, and Takahashi. We're talking the Bullet Club Takahashi there, just so you guys are aware.
Yes.
Wow, Karl. This is whoever comes out of this block, I think, is going to win this event. But I mean, this is no pushover here. There aren't too many weak links in this block.
There definitely isn't. And what I'm loving about this right now is that we've got a great mix of young and old within this block here right now. Suzuki being probably the oldest there. Next one probably looking Ishii. Just having some older names that can still go out there and work and put on an awesome show for us. This is fantastic. One thing that I want you to do for us, Joe.
Yep.
Explain. Okay, because people are seeing 4, 8, 10 people within each block.
Yep.
How does this actually happen and break down so that we get a final winner?
Yeah, it's not a single elimination tournament. Basically, everybody faces everybody. And whoever essentially scores the most points moves on. So basically Ibushi's going to wrestle against Cobb, Okada, Ishii, Ospreay, Shingo, Suzuki, Taichi, Jay White, and Takahashi. And vice versa. Cobb's going to face all these guys. And just everybody's going to face everybody. And whoever scores the most points by winning is going to move on. Having said that here, Karl, in this A block, who do you think is coming out of this A block to face the winner of the B block?
Oh, geez. Okada. Yeah, I'm going Okada.
It's tough to go against the Rainmaker. It really, really is here, Karl. But I think you know who my pick might be here, because I've been, since New Japan has gotten back up and running, I've been a big fan of this guy, and I love what he's been doing. And obviously New Japan has as well. We were talking Mr. Shingo Takagi. I think that he is going to come out of this A block. And it's insane given the names that we have here. But I think this could be Shingo's year. And I think that he will not only win the A block, he could win this whole G1, Karl.
It's definitely very possible.
Yep.
I mean, just looking at all the names that are there, I mean, it's so hard to really boil everything down just to one person to win right now. It's I mean, over time, taking a look at all the matches that are going to be happening, and then taking a look at the numbers, and taking a look at the wins and the losses and all of that that's happening. I mean, definitely we can make a better assumption once we start seeing some results happening. But I mean, right now, wow, it's just so hard to choose just one. Takagi, I mean, definitely is a huge name that is definitely earned this. Definitely has. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. Block B, Joe.
Back briefly just on A block, I want to mention one of the name in particular, Jeff Cobb. You're going to be seeing more of him in New Japan, because he has actually signed, I don't know if it's a long-term deal, but he has actually signed with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which should theoretically still allow him to compete with Ring of Honor as well.
Okay, good.
If the traveling can happen. And,
yes,
we all know that could potentially happen there. These guys could get over to New Japan. They might get trapped over there, but that's another topic that we could discuss later. B block. Let's go through the names here. We've got Hiroshi Tanahashi, Juice Robinson, Hiroki Goto, which is essentially the New Japan version of Roman Reigns, for those who are not in the know. Yeah. We have Toru Yano, the personal favorite of our friend Mr. Michael Jericho, Yoshihashi, Tetsuya Naito, Sonata, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, who was formerly Hideo Itami from WWE, for those who don't know, and now the former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Evil.
Yes.
This block isn't any slouch either here, Karl. It's maybe not quite up to snuff of the A block, but I mean, there are still some very, 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 very notable names in this B block.
There definitely is notable names that you're looking at. You mentioned them very last. Evil, coming off of being the IWGP champion, right? Kenta, we're looking at the two of them, Bullet Club members, right? And then Naito as well, right? I can't even pronounce it.
Los Ingobernables de Japón.
There we go. Right? And then it's crazy and such a good mix going around from New Japan to Los Ingobernables.
Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Ingobernables. And Bullet Club and just all of these different mix of talent from the different factions, I guess you could almost say. Not that New Japan is a faction, but this one's hard too. I mean, Naito could take this, Evil could take this, Sonata could take it. Maybe they want to go a little North American and go with Juice, as they're trying to build New Japan Pro North America or US, right? So maybe you have somebody from North America that's gonna win this and take that. And wow.
For me, there's a couple different ways I can go. This part of me wants to pick Yano just so that I can make Jericho's head explode. But he'll get some wins, and he'll probably get some. Obviously they'll include some comedy in there, and it just depends on who they want to do it with. I like Zack Sabre Jr. Believe it or not, I'm a big fan of his style, just because he is in professional wrestling, he's a rare breed, Karl. He can adapt to almost any style there. He can be very technical. He can get extreme. He can do the high flying. He can basically do it all, including being a good talker. And
he's got a very
bad
British style.
Absolutely, and but can essentially kind of do it all, like I mentioned. And then we have Naito as well. I mean, and then we have the Ace Tanahashi. It's really hard to make a pick out of this block here. If I had to pick, I'm going to go with Tetsuya Naito. I think that our final is going to be Shingo versus Naito. That's my prediction.
And you know what? Like I said earlier, I definitely could see Naito with that as well. Yeah. Honestly, I want to see Okada and Kenta. That's what I want to see.
That'd be interesting too. That's an interesting matchup.
That's what I want to see it come down to.
I think both cases would be highly entertaining to watch, and I think everybody would win if that was the case. So some good stuff there. So yeah, excited to see this G1, and hopefully we're going to have some audiences in person for this, and hopefully it's going to be good. That's all I want. I want it to be good.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Let us shift over to something that isn't WWE. It's not AEW. It's not even New Japan here, Karl. I think that there are still, believe it or not, a lot of fans out there that think that all professional wrestling is still WWE. I know it sounds a little silly, but believe it or not, there are still some out there. But I mean, there are a lot of different wrestling promotions, and a lot of it can be viewed for free, actually. I will let Karl bring up the graphic here, and we can talk about some of these. Some cool names on this list here, Karl. And the ones probably that are closest to our heart here would be CWE and Ignite Wrestling. Our friend Danny Duggan over there with the CWE over in Winnipeg, and of course down in Florida, Miss Kim Arlep with Ignite Wrestling. Those are the two that I want to mention when we're at the hop.
Definitely. Me as well. I want to mention out of Toronto, GTA area, we're looking Smash Wrestling.
Yep.
Right. And then giving a little nod to our a couple of our other friends down with Southern Honor Championship Wrestling. And if those of you who don't know, over in India, they have a wrestling promotion over there as well. You see over on the right-hand side, the red and white CWE that's there. That is actually, if you all of these, you can go to YouTube and type these in. CWE India is actually run and owned by the great Karl.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm just going to run through the list here quick of the ones that I put onto this graphic.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to start over on the left. Beyond Wrestling, Canadian Wrestling's Elite, German Wrestling Federation,
Nice.
MLW, Major League Wrestling, Ignite Wrestling, Limitless Wrestling, Elite Canadian Championship Wrestling. Over on the right at the top, we've got Smash Wrestling, we've got Defiant, we've got DDT Pro, we've got CWE India, we've got Wrestle Circus, we've got Southern Honor Wrestling as well. And I want to throw out another one out there. I know Joe's going to be throwing one out as well, but soon our friend Jazzy Gaber is going to be running Serious Wrestling Entertainment in Germany as well. So there's another one that will probably be available for a little while for everybody to watch.
Yep. And, of course, the other one, if you were around earlier, you saw them during our commercial break, OVW, is quickly becoming one of my favorite wrestling promotions. They've always kind of been there, obviously, and but just recently I've really kind of started delving into and watching the shows, and some good stuff there. For the ones that other than our friends, especially in CW and Ignite, the one that really kind of stands out to me, or the two, would be Wrestle Circus. If you guys are long-time listeners of our podcast, you will know that I believe it was 2 years ago, instead of watching WrestleMania, I actually ended up watching a Wrestle Circus show. And crazy, right? But it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Beyond Wrestling is another one that's notable and worth mentioning because there's a lot of current talent involved, especially in AEW that have done some stuff with Beyond Wrestling and some really good stuff there as well. Really high production value for kind of an indie show. And a lot of really good talent have made their way through there. Orange Cassidy, Brian Cage, just to name a couple, have made their way through Beyond Wrestling. So some good stuff there. So yeah, there is so much great wrestling out there, even just given kind of what's going on recently.
Definitely there is. And like we said, all of these are available on YouTube.
Yep.
Last night, I spent about 2.5 hours going through and checking things out and making sure that the companies that I wanted to showcase for us today were actually still available on YouTube. I actually found a few that don't have YouTube channels anymore, so I didn't showcase them because we want that you guys see that there is more to professional wrestling than just the WWE. It's right there on the screen for you guys.
Yep.
You guys can see that. And if those of you who are listening, I'll run through them again super quick. Beyond Wrestling, Canadian Wrestling's Elite, German Wrestling Federation, Major League Wrestling, Ignite Wrestling, Limitless Wrestling, Elite Canadian Championship Wrestling, Smash Wrestling, Defiant Wrestling, DDT Pro Wrestling, CWE India, Wrestle Circus, Southern Honor Wrestling. So if you're not watching the video and just listening to the audio, there you go.
Yep.
If you need to rewind and pause to catch all of them, do it. And go and check them out because you will not be disappointed.
Absolutely. All right, man. Let us, what do we got next on the docket here? We have, let me cue up the video, breaking news. All right, so for breaking news this week, it's from what I've been seeing, it's fairly sparse when it comes to breaking news. I mean, there's been some kind of stuff going on. The most notable one that I've seen, actually, it looks like it just popped up since we started on the episode here today. It looks like Jeff Hardy is re-signed with the WWE. So for those of you who may have been hoping for the Hardy Boys to be over in AEW together, nope.
Nope. Not going to happen. He definitely has re-signed. Maybe we'll get into this a little bit on next week's episode, but there were some different stipulations that were put into the contract for Jeff Hardy to re-sign. So we're going to do a little bit of research and a little bit of digging and see kind of what that is and what that was. And there were special things that were put in there for him to actually re-sign.
Interesting. So. I'll have to look into that because now you've kind of piqued my interest. Did you have anything in breaking news-wise that you wanted to
I do.
bring up? What do you got?
I got 3 things for everybody here today.
Cool.
So AEW will broadcast the regular time this week. In case anybody has not seen that come out yet, it's been up in the air for the last little bit between all these different sports shows and stuff that have been going on. But AEW will broadcast at the regular time this week. WWE Network is going to be putting out new indie content to the network. So stuff that is not WWE. We're talking on Saturday, they're going to be adding in WXW Shotgun 2020, number 1. They're going to be putting up ICW Fight Club 96, episode 96 or number 96, not 1996, I believe. Evolve 127.
Yep.
And Progress Chapter 101. And they're all going to be premiering at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday on demand. So not live streaming, but they will be available on demand on the WWE Network.
There you go.
And the third piece of news that I have is something coming from somebody that is at the WWE Performance Center, and we are offering our best wishes to this girl here. We're talking Simone Johnson, daughter of The Rock. Today, Monday, has gone in for her 3rd knee surgery, and she is very excited because this one here, what they're talking about is fixing her to the point where she will move without pain.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, super happy about that. super happy that she's going to be finally getting the surgery to really fix everything for her, especially after a third knee surgery. I mean, we're talking The Rock's daughter. If she doesn't have it in her genes, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, so hopefully good things are going to come of this, and she will be able to make a full recovery soon. What she is asking from her fans, though, is that you send her a message, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and give her some good video games to play. Give her some good movies, specifically scary horror movies, so that she can pass the time before she makes her comeback.
Oh, can you still hear me? Oh,
Yes, I can.
Looks like there was a little hiccup in the audio. Maybe just a brief internet issue. But for those who follow any kind of sporting ventures, whether it's football or hockey or anything, or professional wrestling in this case, you would likely know that knee injuries are typically the worst for an athlete. And for somebody to go through 3 surgeries, I don't know of too many people that can bounce back from that. One of my favorite hockey players of all time, Peter Forsberg, knee injury, ended his career. And I think that was, I don't know, maybe it was once or twice that he had to have surgery, and he never bounced back from that. So hopefully, she can have better luck with that. But a knee injury is pretty devastating for any athlete in any given sport. So that's going to be tough.
It is.
That's going to be very, very tough, and hopefully she can pull through that. All right, so let us move on to our match of the week segment here. Just looking for it. There we go. All right, so for match of the week segment here, I'm going to break with tradition a little bit here, and I'll actually go first this week.
Yes.
Here, Karl. And I had mentioned OVW earlier in the episode, and the reason why I did that is because they are going to be involved in my match of the week segment here this week. And actually, I am not actually going to be picking one match in particular. If you guys remember when we had Mr. Ryan K. Bowen and we had Mr. Melkor, who is currently a producer with OVW, mentioned their 1100th episode that was going to happen here, Karl. That is not only my match of the week, that is my show of the week. If you guys have a chance to catch this show, go and check it out. It's free on YouTube, on their YouTube channel. It's absolutely fantastic. And just watching the show was just shy of 2 hours, this show. And it just felt like the way that they pulled it off is it felt like I was at my local wrestling promotion, and it was just a good, solid show. It was absolutely fantastic. We even saw Mr. Al Snow came out, and they actually introduced a new North American, like a national championship. Mr. Al Snow announcing that was very, very cool, and just celebrating the 1100th episode. And then the main event, if I had to pick a match of the week, it's actually from this show. And it was the main event for the OVW World Heavyweight Championship between Mr. Tony Gunn and Brian Pillman Jr. Absolutely fantastic match. The ending was a little kind of funky, but I don't want to give it away for those who haven't seen it yet. So I know, Karl, you probably haven't seen it yet, and some of our listeners might not have, but go and check it out. The ending is unexpected. Let's just put it that way. That's all I'm going to say. But some great stuff, and it felt like I was back in the arena watching a wrestling show again. That's the best way I can describe it.
That's fantastic.
They put a big smile on my face, and I enjoyed watching the show just without any BS behind it. Fantastic.
We've mentioned it before. OVW delivers all the time, and I'm super happy to see that 1,100 episodes in.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And also, just briefly, those who have been longtime followers of OVW, you'll probably mark out a few times. There were some people that came back that are definitely notable. So just to give you a little bit of a teaser there for those of you who are regular OVW viewers, you'll be pleasantly surprised and very, very happy. What do you got, Karl, for your match of the week?
My match of the week is coming from, actually, first, I have to say that my match of the week is coming from Impact Wrestling, but I have a little bit of a sad note that I want to talk about from Impact Wrestling.
Okay.
Wrestle House is done.
Wrestle House. Well,
yeah. So, I mean, Big Joe really hasn't been watching any Impact Wrestling and doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But those of you that have been watching Impact, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Wrestle House. So essentially what they did, Joe, is they took a bunch of the talent, and they put them onto like their own little separate show.
Okay.
I guess. So almost like a Big Brother type of thing. So they were all in this one big house, and they called it Wrestle House.
Okay.
And Tommy Dreamer was the headmaster of this house.
Oh, jeez.
Right? So every week we'd see like different little things happening, and then like the Deaners would be kind of like pissed off at Triple XL. And then you'd see Tommy Dreamer come out, and Tommy Dreamer would go, "Match time!" Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was normally that long.
Wow.
And then you would see them, they'd go outside and there would be a wrestling ring set up and all the other talents surrounding the ring, and they would have these matches going on. It was just it was different. It was innovative, and I was loving watching Wrestle House. At the beginning, it was kind of like, this is kind of stupid. Very 1990s Saved by the Bell type of graphic going on, but it grew on me and I loved it. My match of the week this week is coming from Impact Wrestling. A couple of cruiserweights who didn't actually just go out there and do a whole bunch of flippy crap. We're talking Chris Bay and TJP.
Yes.
I was loving this matchup. I didn't look away.
Mm-hmm.
There was just phenomenal stuff coming from both Chris Bay and TJP. They did, a couple of high-flying things, but they did a lot of mat work as well. So they had that really good mixture of both works, and I was just super happy with it. So there you go.
A good
my
pick.
little rant on Wrestle House and my match of the week.
A good pick there. And the one half of your match there is interesting. TJP, spent some time in WWE and whatnot. There's a guy that just he's such a weird anomaly in wrestling. He's such a good talent, but yet, I'll just put it to you this way. He needs to get his head out of his own ass. Okay? I'll just come on and say it.
Yep.
He can be kind of a very Austin Aries-esque sometimes. He knows that he's good, but just he needs to be a little bit more careful, kind of, I think, just the way that he conducts himself. And I think if he does that, he can be somebody notable in this business, but just he tends to be a little self-destructive. And, sir, if you happen to be watching this program, just tone it down a little bit and just be a little bit more professional. And I think you'll be amazed at the results that you'll achieve. So
yeah, I think
there you
so
go.
too.
We'll see it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let us take a bit of a brief break here and hear from our friends at thechairshot.com, and we'll come back with our Showstopper segment for this week.
Visit thechairshot.com. Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
So there we go, a little word from our new friends over at thechairshot.com. For those of you not in the know, formerly we used to be over at with our friends over at thegrillposition.com, but fairly recently they were purchased by a new website, and our friends over at thechairshot.com were gracious enough to bring us on board and feature us there every week. So again, thanks to Greg and the boys over at thechairshot.com.
Right.
All right, let's get to our Showstopper segment here for this week here, Karl. So we have a bit of an interesting one here this week, and it kind of ties into our first topic for this episode with Miro, formerly Rusev of the WWE, making his debut over at AEW. Too many three-letter things kind of going on. It's I get them mixed up. And we're talking about, is it fair to call people who have been in the WWE to kind of refer them to as WWE guys when they decide to go elsewhere, which I think is kind of at the heart of the topic here, Karl. And I'll let you put up the graphic here because I think this is pretty telling about this topic, is that I think it really depends on who we're referring to here in this conversation. So I'll let you put up the graphic and we'll talk about these names.
In a moment, I'll put up the graphic.
Sure.
What I want to say here is that this topic kind of encompasses, yes, is it fair that we just call them that WWE guy?
Yep.
Or as well, we keep referring to people that go over to All Elite Wrestling as, All Elite Wrestling is just becoming a dumping grounds for the WWE.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just the WWE rejects that they're taking in and stuff like that. So now I'm going to put up the graphic here for you. And on this graphic, there's going to be 3 people on here, okay, that were WCW rejects.
Yeah.
That the WWE took over, but we never considered them or called them that, okay?
Okay.
Never did we call them that. Here we go. Stunning Steve Austin. Here, I'm going to do this with the pointer. Stunning Steve Austin.
Yep.
Jean-Paul Levesque. Okay? And then Cactus Jack.
Yep.
Okay, so all 3 of those known as WCW rejects.
I think you can
But
add
we
AJ to that
never
list as well.
Referred to them as that coming over into the WWE.
Yeah.
Why? Why are we referring to others going at other companies as WWE rejects when WCW had rejects that the WWE took in and made their biggest stars out of?
Yep, I think it depends on the personnel, but I think you can actually, if my memory serves me correctly, you can actually add AJ Styles to that group because I believe that he had a bit of a run in WCW as well, and then in a bit more of a roundabout way than the other guys found his way to WWE. But yeah, like I said, it really depends on who we're talking about here. When I have on some social media posts referred to as, it's kind of turning into the rejects of WWE and in AEW. I'm referring to people, and I think most notably, I think one of the better examples of this would be Tainara Conti, or as Tay Conti, as they're referring to over in AEW. She was somebody that was clearly turned away by the WWE and seemingly just going to the other company out of spite. There has been some of that kind of going on, but at the same time, where we're talking about some of the other people you have on this graphic here, especially Karl, Mr. Bryan Danielson and Kevin Steen, okay? Those are guys that really made, in different ways, kind of really made themselves known in Ring of Honor before coming over to WWE. Now, Daniel, bit of a different scenario. He actually had a bit of a run in WWE first, then went to, believe, either first time or back to Ring of Honor and then back to WWE again, whereas Kevin he did some other stuff previous, but then had a really, really good run in Ring of Honor and then made his way to WWE. Now, using the term WWE guy, I think really when we're talking about those, we're referring to like their homegrown WWE people, like your I guess most notably, probably Roman Reigns would probably be the best example. The ones that are coming purely out of that WWE system to get turned away by the company and then to go to the other one and then to kind of poke and prod at Vince. Those are the ones that I usually kind of refer to because obviously, the two you pick the 2 best ones to kind of use for this example because Daniel and Kevin both guys that I wouldn't necessarily call WWE guys, just because they did a lot outside of those 3 letters.
No, and I totally get what you're saying there. Kind of where I'm coming from with this is they came from Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
But when they got to the WWE, we weren't just referring to them as, the Ring of Honor people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We were saying, it's Daniel Bryan. It's Kevin Steen, right? AJ Styles. Wow, cool, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I mean, like, even back in the day, Steve Austin and Triple H and Mick Foley, right? They came in as other people before.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They had their time in another company, but we didn't reflect back on that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, we need to stop doing that. Because somebody leaves the WWE, no matter how it's done, no matter if it's because they were fired, no matter if they left on bad terms, no matter if they were turned away at the door when trying to get in, we need to stop referring to these people as from WWE. We need to stop that.
Yeah.
They are independent contractors. They're independent workers.
Yep. In
right?
WWE, you could argue against that, but again, that's an whole discussion that we could actually have. But when it comes to especially the graphic that we have here, Karl, is that another reason why it's not fair. Like if any of them were to go over to another company, wouldn't necessarily use that thought process because, again, all these 6 gentlemen here were very, very, very successful in WWE. Now, whereas we talk our lower down talent, that were pushed aside, arguably, going over to another company, that's a bit of a different scenario. Because we're talking about somebody who was actually, rejected by the company, only going over to somewhere to then kind of say, oh, wasn't good enough for this company, so that's why I'm here. That's where the issue kind of comes in. I can see why people have that thought process with the lower end people, which I think is where a lot of people are coming from. When you talk, not really fond of using this one, but when you talk your Zack Ryders, you're talking your Tainara Contis, your Rusev, people who were arguably either misused or didn't quite get to that level of these 6 gentlemen. Clearly, those are the ones I think people have a bit of beef with, of going over to AEW just to spite the old man over in WWE.
But how do you know it's just to spite? They're there to work.
True.
They have to earn a paycheck as well.
True. But I do refer you to to Miro. We're calling him in AEW now, of referring in a bit of a roundabout way to Vince McMahon, saying, I wasn't good enough for you. Now I'm here to basically to prove you wrong.
And what's wrong with that?
It's all about perception from the public and the fans, right? Is that people that guarantee you there are some people, and I'm not saying necessarily that I always feel that way, but there's a large segment of the audience out there that see them turning into the next WCW. We're taking everybody that the WWE is getting rid of just to stick it to Vince. There are a significant amount of people out there, Karl, that do feel that way. I'm not saying that I share that sentiment always, but there are a lot of people that do.
And that's what I'm trying to get across, is that people need to stop thinking that.
Yep.
These people have to go out there and work. They have to make a living for themselves.
Yep. But they can do it.
I'm going to use a name and an example from somewhere else, okay?
Yep.
I'm going to use Peter Forsberg.
Okay.
So Peter Forsberg did his best work where?
Colorado,
with the Colorado Avalanche.
Yep.
Well, before that, did you know that he did a year with the Quebec Nordiques?
Absolutely. He was part of that big Eric Lindros deal that happened, actually. He was right in the midst of that deal.
That's right. But he got big, and he did whatever he had to do with the Colorado Avalanche. But we never referred to him as that reject from the Nordiques.
No,
never happened.
Yeah.
We don't do that in other sports. Why are we doing that here?
The difference is that he never referred to the Nordiques as him rejecting him. I'm fine with that. This is my thought process really deep down when it comes to this. I'm fine with ex-WWE talent going over to AEW. What I don't like is them in their first promo, or especially if they decide to kind of do it over and over again, which hopefully won't be the case, of them referring to the WWE, saying essentially Miro was especially guilty of saying, I was rejected by you. I'm here now to prove you wrong. Paraphrasing there for sure, but that's essentially reading between the lines of what he said there. I reach for your brass ring and your imaginable brass ring. Screw you. I'm here in this company now. It would have been just as successful if he would have just said, everybody obviously knows who I am, but I don't need to refer to that. I don't need to poke and prod the beast if I don't need to. I would have been perfectly fine if they would just come over and just do their thing without having to stick it to Vince, because I think that this could come back to haunt them eventually. Like I said, I get visions of WCW again, and I don't want history to repeat itself, because it's looking very much like that, and I don't want that to happen.
And you're using one person.
Well,
right?
Cody
Tay Conti, did she do any of that?
I don't know yet. I will have to. I believe she hasn't made her debut yet.
She has
the match,
and she hasn't done any of that.
Cody did it with the throne.
Sure, but Cody started this company.
Absolutely,
that's a little bit of a different situation. Cody started this, and he's trying to do something for shock value.
Yeah,
to build his company.
True.
That's a different story.
True.
right? Right. And I mean, with all of this, I'm not even talking people coming into another company and talking about the other company that they were in. I'm talking about the fans, these smarks that are going out there and going, oh, well, he's just a former WWE guy, whatever. Oh, he means nothing. Oh, they're just taking all the WWE guys and just trying to build off of their status and stuff like. No, they're people that have to work. No matter what company they go to, they don't have to mention the WWE, and the smart marks out there are still going to be going, oh, well, he's just a former WWE guy. Oh, they're just pulling in all these old former WWE guys. Oh, you know where the majority of the people have worked? The WWE.
True.
In some capacity or another. They have all worked at the WWE. So come on. What's the problem here? Just shut your freaking mouth. Just be quiet about it and be happy that you have professional wrestling.
For sure.
Why do we have to make such a big deal out of that?
I see both sides of the argument, and I kind of lie somewhere in between. I get a little bit where you're obviously I get where you're coming from, and I also get a little bit, where the fans on the other side are coming from as well. And I definitely understand why that perception is there, because there are some people that were around for the Monday Night Wars, and they do see some trends going on, and that's basically my main concerns. I don't want them to repeat the same mistakes, because I'm seeing that trend happening a little bit, and I just don't want them, especially with such a new company, and they have done so much good, and they made some mistakes too, obviously, but I just don't want them to fall flat on their face and get to the point to where they're poking and prodding the company so much that Vince is going to be eventually like, okay, you know what? That's enough. We're going to buy out that company. And then this other company that we've wanted as competition will be gone because of that. I don't want it to escalate to that level, because that could be a real possibility.
It definitely could be. I get what you're saying there.
Yep.
But again, this Showstopper segment has absolutely nothing to do with people talking about the WWE. It's about people referring to these wrestlers that are coming over as just that former WWE guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so WCW was going under, whatever. The WWE brought in a whole bunch of WCW guys and made stars out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what's wrong now with AEW taking stars from the WWE and doing the same thing that the WWE has done? People are crapping all over it and saying that it's wrong, that they shouldn't be doing this, that, they're all just former WWE guys that shouldn't be doing that. When the invasion happened, they referred to the invasion and stuff as WCW for a while. They definitely did.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be done again.
No.
It can't be done again, people. It's already been done. But after a certain length of time, that whole thing stopped, and we had WWE wrestlers, workers, entertainers, and that's what it became. So why are we continuously saying this? It doesn't get into my head. I don't understand this. Why?
I can see a little bit, because I think it has to do with the level of the talent. A lot of those WCW talents that came over from WWE were legitimately top-notch, top-tier talent. You can push them to the top if you wanted to. A lot of these ones that have been, again, I'll use finger quotations to just let people know on audio, of people who have been rejected by the WWE because they haven't been quite up to snuff, whether they just haven't quite had it in themselves, or where events of the higher ups didn't feel that they were worthy. I think that is the key difference here, and why people are latching onto this idea, is because we're talking totally different levels of talent here. It's been pretty clear that some of these people in WWE haven't quite lived up to being in the number one company. And I think that is what people are latching onto. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just for me,
it's an interesting discussion. It's an interesting discussion, because it really gets at the heart of how fans are feeling and how they're probably going to be picking WWE over AEW. I think it's a significant issue in a lot of people's heads when it comes to that, and maybe why some people are maybe a little turned off of AEW, because they're seeing, these are just guys that were formerly in the other company. So that's why I think it's a worthwhile topic to think about.
No, it definitely is, and that's why I kind of wanted to bring it up this week, because it's something that I've seen put out there for a little bit now, and I mean it's stuff that other people are not necessarily talking about, but they are sharing it on social media.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, this is essentially where my inspiration for this had come from. I saw a meme on Facebook. It said WWE marks bashing AEW for hiring former WWE wrestlers are funny. WWE hired these WCW rejects in the 90s that became legends.
Yep.
Looking at names like Cactus Jack, Stunning Steve, Jean-Paul Levesque, Eddie Guerrero was another one in that list.
Yep.
Right? So, yeah, that's like, other people get what I'm saying. They understand where I'm coming from.
Yep.
Right? All these people are like bashing AEW for hiring former wrestlers when WWE did the same thing with former WCW wrestlers.
Yep.
And look at what WWE was able to do with these people.
True.
Some of the biggest names in the history of professional wrestling.
Yep.
And I think that we really need to get ourselves back to a point where we're not looking at it as WWE guys, AEW guys, Ring of Honor guys, Impact Wrestling guys.
Yep.
We really need to get back to a point where we're thinking professional wrestlers.
Yep.
Right. And that's for me, that's my biggest thing. We really need to get back to that place where we're happy to have professional wrestling, no matter where someone is, no matter what company this professional wrestling star, no matter what company this wrestling entertainer, we'll even throw that word in there as well, no matter where they are, we have professional wrestling.
My final word on this will be, I'll pick I'll pick one name from the one side, one from the other side. Miro / Rusev here, Cactus Jack way up here. That's all I'll say. Significant difference in the talent that came over. That's all I'll say on the topic. And this might be something we revisit again. I have a feeling that this is a topic that we haven't seen the end of, and we'll likely be revisiting. I can guarantee you on that one. Before we go here, Karl, tell us a little bit about our sponsors before we peace out for this week.
Definitely. We have got some amazing sponsors. First one I want to mention is over at Phoenix, fnxfit.com. Go and take a look at them for amazing supplements for health. They've got protein powders. They've got pre-workouts. They've got post-workouts. They've got super greens. They've got testosterone. They've got collagen products. They've got anything that you might be looking for. Go and take a look at them. You want a promo code? Shoot us a message. Let us know, and we will get you a promo code to get 15% off anything over at fnxfit.com. As well, our other sponsor, we're looking at collarandelbowbrand.com. Amazing clothing coming from collarandelbowbrand.com. Everybody sees that I wear the hat every week. I love this hat. It is amazing. It was black at one time. It's now brown because I've worn it so much in the sun. Go and take a look at collarandelbowbrand.com. When you're there, anything that you put into your cart, at the very end, use promo code JKPodcast, and you're going to get yourself 10% off that entire order. And we have our own merchandise available. As you can see, I've got my Turnbuckle Talk shirt on. I've been drinking out of my Turnbuckle Talk mug. We've got Turnbuckle Talk merchandise available for you. Go to turnbuckle-talk.myshopify.com. It's scrolling down at the bottom there for you. Go to that link. Take a look at what we've got there. Make a purchase. Every purchase that's done there helps us continue to run these broadcasts for you, whether it's here with our friends at StreamYard or over on the audio platform with Podbean. We appreciate everybody that goes and takes looks at those three places to purchase a little bit of merchandise that helps us in the end.
All right, man. Let us wrap it up here for this week, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Have a nice day.
It's me, instead of harder to beat. As you can tell in the background, we are out celebrating. That is what we do here at hittingthemarks.com. And I invite everyone to continue to tune in to Turnbuckle Talk, but check out all of our other shows we have. You can find that all at hittingthemarks.com.
Run.